Let's go in here one more time, see if we can get a start. A lot of stuttering going on. Don't sound real smooth, but we're running 247. Let's check frequency. We're at 60 hertz, so we're low on that. Should be 61.5 on the first spring, 62.5 on the other, and check your voltage after that. So let's go ahead and get that tuned in here. What I'll do a lot of times, I'll loosen up that one spring here, completely take it off. We'll tune this into 61.5. Meter's a little too accurate, so we can go ahead and put it on averaging. 61.5. Now we'll go ahead and open our spring back up. What happens is this starts to loosen up. And 62.5 area, so we're good on that. I like to test this thing to make sure it's going to shut down. I'm going to rev it up to 72 hertz and it should shut down. And it went off on overspeed, so that safety is working like it should, which is something I like to check when I'm doing my tests. So to erase it, you turn it to off, back to auto. If the power is out, it would start back up. These are the old generators. They don't have any inner switches or anything like that, so nothing major to redo. If we wanted to reset our exercise, we would just push that button down and hold it for about 10 seconds. It would start, you let off of it, and the next week, 7 days from now, will be that particular time would be when it would start. Not fancy like the newer ones. Let's go ahead and restart it, see now that the springs have kind of changed their tension position. See how it does. 62.5. I hear a little bit of stutter out of it. These particular models here kind of sucked about having issues with their regulator back here, which ain't really a regulator, fuel solenoid, you know what I'm saying? The actual tuning spot. There's a little knob right here. And what you had to do is actually set it for the highest speed, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. I might check that to see if it runs a little better. Let's take a look at the spark plug here. Yeah, it's burning fairly decent. Yeah, it's right at 30 thousandths. It may have been what it was. So we're not out of range. I'd have to pull it up to remember. This is running on propane. Propane, they would sometimes go with a smaller gap. Didn't always make a humongous difference, but it was something that they recommended back in the day. Don't know if they're still doing that. And it was only on this particular series. I always like to check my battery cable connections here on the contactor, make sure they're all tight, make sure everything's good to go there. Let's get this back on there. You can tell that's starting to crack a little bit. It's getting older. Let's check our filter here. Air filter is clean. Everything's clean in there. You could check gas pressure and stuff like that. Generally, it's not an issue too often. The essential issue he has, it didn't want to start and the battery was bad. So you got to ask the customer, do you want me to dig in nice and deep and tear into all these things that really aren't been a problem, which costs more time, which costs more money. So you don't really want to spend a bunch of time on things that they didn't ask you to do unless they're okay with that. We could check our spark. This little gizmo here, it'll show you that it's getting spark, but it doesn't show you how strong the spark is. I've got one that's actually got the gap, and you can see how far the sparks can able to jump, which as fast as this is starting, really not a whole lot of reason to. I want to test this at the transfer switch, so what we're going to do, see if it'll actually transfer over. So what we can do is if you say you're here and the homeowner wasn't, you can literally unplug their transfer switch here and it should start up on its own. And then when you plug it back together, it's going to transfer over. You undo that. When you do, if it's in auto mode like it should have been, the green should start to flash, which tells you that it does not have utility voltage. And it should start up and it would switch over, which it won't switch over with it unplugged until we plug it back in. When we plug it in, it's going to run for a minute and then it's going to shut back down. So this should start up. I just hear a little bit of a stutter to it. It ain't perfect, but it ain't horrible. Let's go ahead and plug this back in. That should have switched it over. Probably gonna switch right back real quick. Yeah, 0.9 amps, so it's powering something really small. So we know that it switched over. It should switch back here in a second. That's gonna drop down to 0. While we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and make sure that green light went back to solid. You can also check our amperage on our battery. This has DC amperage on it. Got an arrow going through. Usually you want that pointing towards the load. So we're pulling 1.6 amps. I think it points towards the power. I haven't checked the manual on it. So if we check in this direction, hit the hold button, 1.6 in a positive manner. Obviously it's directional. Right now it should be charging, so it would be a positive. When it's cranking, it's going to be a negative. You see it also off the negative here, 1.5. It has a 0 function, so if you wanted to 0 it out, but this meter's pretty good about going to 0 either way. And there it shuts back down. While it's charging in at 2.3 amps of current. So you can see right away how much that battery charger's cranking in there. That's not a trickle at 2 point whatever amps. Now we'll go ahead and start it. You're going to see this thing jump up to about anywhere from 75 to 90 amps of cranking. Watch this. We can probably do, I'm going to see if we can do inrush. I'm pretty sure it'll do it. So inrush on DC is as much as 315 amps. Now for the usual generic meter that don't have that feature, which very few do, here's what it would be if you're just watching it. But that's the reason why I like that meter. Not too many of them got that. I mean, you got some cheapies out there that can measure it, but can they measure true inrush? Can they measure it in a quality manner? Unfortunately, for the $380, $400 this thing costs, you would think they could have made it in America, but unfortunately, Fluke did not. They made it in, I think, China. You know, it just don't seem right that you can charge the premium dollar and you still couldn't have made it here. It's kind of sad.
And like I said, I was gone for a while, so I wasn't able to check it out. But then I noticed Monday that it didn't test.
Okay. And you know, what you can do too is if you just opened up the generator and look on top here, if it has a problem, it's going to show a red light. And so if there's a red light, that's bad. Red means stop, it's done, and you got a problem. But if you have a green light, then it's in standby. The newer ones, they've put little lights on the outside to make it a little easier so you don't have to open it up. But it's just as simple as turning the little knobs on the front and just open it up and then lock it back down.
What Jim always did that. So all I have to do is lift it up and make sure that the green light.
Yep, green's good. System set, that means you're working. If you got a red light, then you've got issues. If they're all blinking, it tells you right on the front here what's going on. Okay. But yeah, we'll go ahead and set it right now by just holding the button down for about 10 seconds, and it's going to start up and run, and then it'll run for 12 minutes. But you can stop it once it's started running. It'll still hold that in memory. So I've held it. There we go. So next week at about 12:14 area, it'll be ready to go. And I put it back onto auto. Auto is where you normally want it at. That means automatic, you know, when you need it. Off. Okay. If it's an off, you'll have no lights. So that's obviously bad because you won't have anything. And if you put it on manual, that means it manually will run just like you're starting a lawnmower or whatever.
But it's on auto now.
It's on auto right now, yep. Okay. And everything looks pretty good, so you shouldn't have any more problems.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you've seen what I did there. I educate the customer. If they want to know more, I'm more than happy to tell them exactly everything they'd want to know. But it doesn't hurt to let them know how they can check these things on their own. The more they know, the better they're going to be at telling you when things aren't right. It shows them that you care. There's some that don't want to know that. That's fine too. I offer the information, and if they take it, great. If they don't, that's great, whatever. Those are the things I like to do when I'm talking to my customer. And so that's my little generic bag here. Unit is working like it should. You guys got to see firsthand how that exercise works. I like to, at least at a minimum, put a wire tie on this box. They used to give us a nut and bolt for this. I actually might have one on the truck. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a nut and bolt. That way kids can't get into it. So we got the nut and bolt on there. Not opening up for a kid. They can't get it off by hand, but you can take it off with a pair of pliers. You can put a lock on there, but then it's gonna need cut off when you lose the key, which is usually what ends up happening, or it's rusted up or whatever. That's gonna wrap this one up, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I do generator videos here and there, several other ones you can look at. I'm not technical support, so if you're having problems, make sure you get a hold of your local Generac dealer and get help there. But for little simple things like batteries and change the spark plugs and oil and stuff, I have no problem showing that kind of thing. If you guys enjoyed it, like I said, if you would, give it a thumbs up, smash that burger on the way out, and subscribe. Till next time, we will catch you on the next one.